At first glance, this might look like a really simple one. What we're going to be doing here is creating the intro section. It looks fairly simple. Photo on the left, some text on the right. But there's a few little tricks in here because we're going to do some offsetting with the way that we position our image, specifically as we go to different screen sizes. So this is a fairly short one, but there are a couple of cool little techniques in here. So let's get stuck into Oxygen. Okay, what we're going to do now is just create this. This is a fairly simple one, so it shouldn't take very long. But there is something that we've not looked at before, and that is the effect of a negative margin on something underneath it. So that's what we're going to check out now. Again, if you've seen me do this before, while I'm here, I'm going to copy and paste this text because we're going to start using this stuff pretty quickly. If we go back to Oxygen, we were looking at our features. If we go into our intro section and we click to add some columns, we can see, hang on, everything is underneath of our features. Now I'm going to add in 2 columns, but I'm going to offset them so it's say 40 by 60, just as a guide for now. But what I need to do with this intro is to make sure I have enough margin to sort of deal with the negative margin of our features here. So if we go to this and we look at our columns, you can remember that we put a negative margin here of 280. So we're going to need at least 280 just to get this intro section to have a certain amount of, space before we see our content. So if we go into our intro and we look at our size and spacing, our container already has 75. We're going to want at least 350, and we can start to see that's pushing that off already. You're just clearing that size and space there. Now we can get in here and start putting stuff like our headings in here. So we'll go add, heading, copy and paste like we always do. I'm going to change a few things. I think we probably want to say a H4 for this one. And we'll grab our text. Underneath this, we can go add, put in our text, paste this. Now I'm going to give this a little bit of a padding here. And to me, that color just looks a little dark. I'm going to see what this text color looks like, slightly lighter. Yeah, I think that looks a little softer for me. Now, all we need to do really here is add our image in here, which is really simple. We go add, put in our image, and do what we always do, browse for our image, and upload that. So that is a feature image for our homepage intro. Open, insert that. Now, one other thing that I want to point out here is about centering the text in here. We've done this before. I will often do this here where I have this text sort of centered up with whatever is next to it. Now, we could make this here, this a lot smaller. So by making this say 25% wide, and we can see that's already more centered, but what we can do is click our div here, align it to the middle, click save, and we're pretty close to our design here. Let's refresh this. Now for my liking, there is maybe a little, not enough space here. I would like some more space. So again, we can go to our intro. We could even put some padding or margin on our column itself. So now that we've done that, we've got a nice amount of spacing here. We've got that set up and laid out pretty good. You could add some more padding around this div if you wanted to, but I'm pretty much happy with that. The only thing we want to look at here is how that happens to look in when the breakpoints change. Now, with this design, I think that I've got an example of how I wanted this to look on mobile. So let's zoom out here, and it's right over here somewhere. Here it is. Now, one thing that we'll see here is that I don't want to totally make that image go really small. What I actually want to do is, control the size of that image and give it some negative margin. So we've seen this done a few times here. So what we're going to do is do that now. So if we go to advanced and go to size and spacing on our image, we can make this a lot larger. We can actually give this a force width or size of, say, 300 pixels. We also need to set this on the minimum width. So let's say 300 pixels, and actually that's looking a lot too large for me. So we'll go to 200 pixels, 200. And what we're going to do with this is actually change the layout on this. So we need to go here and go to layout. We're going to position this as absolute. I'm going to put this as 0 pixels from the right. Now, that's not perfect either. We need to do something to this div to make sure it's behaving how we want. We click the div, we do the same sort of thing where we go to layout. We actually need to make sure that this is set up as a relative. And now you can see that image is actually behaving in relationship to the div that it is in. So that's why it's zeroed out. That's looking a lot better. Now the only thing we want to change here is, remember when we went through our breakpoints with our feature buttons, at a certain point in time, we removed that negative margin. So now we don't need all of this huge amount of space to our intro. So we can go back to this, go to our size and spacing, and maybe bring that down to the standard 75. And that is looking pretty good. Open this up on the full screen, click save, quick check, and everything is looking how we want it. There we go. It looked like it was going to be pretty easy, but there were a couple of tricky little bits in there. I'm glad we worked through them and we figured it all out. So let's keep moving along and click complete lesson, and I'll see you in the next one.